Every professional has a unique magic waiting to be discovered. At Finding the Unicorn in You helps you unlock your hidden potential. Thank you for tuning in. Now switching it over to our host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finding the Unicorn in You. Today, I have a very special guest. She is a career coach, author, wellness advisor, and Reiki master. She uses various tools and methods to speak, write, and provide one-on-one counsel to move out of the stuck into actions that help you and your teams reach their goals. So without further ado, welcome Lynn Mull.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into this path?
It's so hard to do to send you the blurb, but this has always been a problem for me. So I do feel multi-passionate and multi-hyphenate. And if anyone knows human design, which I'm now officially studying to keep my mind going, I'm a manifesting generator. So I like to do all the things. And I came from a career in financial services and spent a lot of time doing post-merger integration. And I was lucky enough in that space to do big change management projects. It was incredibly stressful working on Wall Street. And there was a pivotal time in my career where, and we can get into this a little bit more, but I realized that I was not in the right space. And so I myself, a child of two 1950s Catholic parents, took it upon myself to find different modalities to start to think about what I wanted to do. And one of the biggest exercises that came through was my coach had me she had me send out an email and to several people not very close to me, 1 to 2 rings removed, and they all came back and said, you should be a coach. So now I'm a holistic career coach. If you are listening, I am holding up the Oracle deck that I wrote. So that's the author part. It has a booklet. And I spent a lot of times with teams and individuals working through what's the purpose, how do we stay on track, and how do we get to action? Because I love talking. We're going to have a great conversation today. But at the end of the day, action is necessary and frankly fulfilling.
I love that. So tell me a little bit more about the Oracle deck that you had.
So I wrote a thing called the 24 Oracle deck. 24 is a very special number to me, but it's really focused on 12 new moons and 12 full moons. And there is a booklet that comes in this little box. And it really was a divine download, Jamie. I designed and doodled these cards and then had them printed because we all go through phases. And I was using Oracle decks at the beginning of COVID, really before COVID, when I was searching for what was next for me. And you know what I love about Oracle decks? There's no rules. Like tarot, I love tarot, but I don't understand it. So I need someone to provide that to me. But tarot has a lot of rules, certain number of cards and the way you lay them out. And Oracle is you can pull one card. And as a working mom who was also caregiving, all these things happening, flying past me, one card was all I could handle. So the Oracle deck is a way for people to anchor into themselves or maybe find a mantra for the beginning of the month or a moon, whatever you want to do. But it was really fun. And to be honest, sometimes I'm shocked. I'm like, oh, I wrote that. That's really good.
That's amazing. So the concept is you pull one card and that's like your focus for the day, or is it for the week, or is it depending on what your intention is?
Let's just say the week. So we're recording and perhaps like me, you've had a rough start to February or 2025. There's been illness. I had a surgery in December. Like I'm juggling. The kids have been in and out of school. I live on the East Coast, tons of snow. So it's been very disrupted. And I really want to get my mojo back at work. I really want to get a couple of projects that have been delayed. So I'll pull a card. What is my intention for I'm writing a lot. So I'll say, what is my intention for my next writing project? And I'll pull a card and perhaps I pull energetics. I'll read the little booklet and then anytime I get really off track, I lean into this card. I've been known in my darkest days to carry cards in my purse, put them in my car. Or you could say, hey, the whole month, I really want to focus. And there's other fun ideas I have in there, seasonal card pulls, but I've done it. Yoga teachers have used it to start a class, meditation teachers. Also, people have used it with their teams at work, and there are little prompts in the booklet to help. It was really fun to write, really great project, and I'm really proud of it.
I love,
It's held the test of time.
I love that. And it's a good way to re-intentionalize what you're doing. And I think that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest issues I tell the clients that I work with is you go on this autopilot mode and you put
Mhm.
no intention in your actions. You're just going with the flow. But we then complain that life is happening to us, but it's because we're not putting intention. We're not taking the wheel of life and trying to drive it on the road. We're just letting life happen. So I think tools like these are essential because it brings back that sense of purpose.
I like to think about it. Maybe it was a yoga teacher or class that I heard or participated in. But if you think about when you are intentional, you're moving down a river, like you talked about, you're in flow. And tools like this, or talking to a coach like you or I, or whoever you're leaning on becomes the riverbed. And the riverbed is there to support so that it doesn't overflow and flood or leak water, right? So leaking energy, becoming a people pleaser. If there was no riverbank, you would just have nothing. There would be no water, no sustained life. So I really like that idea of taking the wheel. Otherwise, a year goes by and you think to yourself, what have I done?
Mm.
And it's easy to do when your job or your corporation or your doctor or someone sets these boundaries, your family maybe. But it's, hey, what do I want? And that's what the Oracle
Mhm.
deck is supposed to do. And that's what my work is. Like, oh, what do I want? The answers are usually within, but sometimes it takes a minute. And I don't have a lot of minutes. So I'll pull a card, think, okay. And maybe that's enough to get me through the Mondays or the Fridays if I don't have time to do a full journal prompt or a full session with my coach.
I love that. And I know that our niches overlap. So I want to adapt my next question a little bit to what is one of the common issues that you help with? And what is like one piece of advice you can give those people to solve that issue?
This might be counterintuitive, but I'll start with the second question. Stop asking for advice.
Hmm.
We go to our sister or our brother or our parents or our uncle or our coworker and say, what do you think? I'm going to go for this promotion. Or what do you think? I'm going to quit my job and buy a knitting company. Whatever the case may be, we ask. And I do asking for help. That's not what I'm saying. But before you go and ask for advice, get a little more clear on what you're trying to do or why you're unsatisfied. Why do you want to leave that job? Or
Mhm.
what is causing this angst? And I think there's one piece of advice for anyone looking for career advice or coaching is to really rein in what's important to you, starting with values, vision, your authentic needs at this stage in your life, because we all go through these stages where you can take on more, you can take on less. So getting clear first and then maybe saying, hey, can I bounce this really specific idea off of you? I know I'm leaving and I'm thinking of these two options. Where do you see me? Because your brother or your sister or your uncle or your parents or your coworker all have this bias for you. And often those closest to us keep us trapped a little bit. So
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of leaping, but I'm a fan of planning to make action. And I really help a lot of C-suite or rising C-suite women who they've done it, they're type A, they've ticked all the boxes, their resume could light up anywhere, and yet they're unsatisfied. So we work on creating boundaries, creating longevity in the career. And then I have got some 20-year-old nieces, shout out ladies. I've got three, and they're always asking for career advice, and I often give them the same. So I'm even moving more into I'm graduating from college. How do I get really specific? I'm
Mhm.
graduating from college. How do I leverage my alumni network? So stay tuned on that. But I think it's a lot about warm networking is what I provide as well.
I love that. And it's what you said is so powerful because a lot of the times we want to take away that responsibility of making choice. And we want other people to make that choice for us so we don't have to go through that discomfort of, oh, what do I want? What if I make the wrong choice? It's easier to put the blame on someone else if things don't go well. You told me to take this route. You told me to do that promotion. It's your fault that I'm unhappy. Versus if you made the choice, then the only person you have to blame is yourself. But
Right.
that's part of life. We have to make mistakes. We have to be willing to take risks. And not every risk is going to lead to a downfall. Sometimes those risks are going to lead to beautiful opportunities that are only going to help us keep going up and up. And even the mistakes that we make or the things that don't go so well, there's always a life lesson that we can learn from that we can apply it and do better next time.
Exactly. And it taught me too. I applied for a promotion. The last role I had was quite a large one at Merrill, Bank of America, and I didn't want it,
Mhm.
but I just kept moving like down. I think about those pathways in the airports where you're just like going and it's not going up or down. I was so stressed out and it was not an appropriate time to take that role. If I had taken a pause, if I had practically thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to sit on this. I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to wait to respond. I know the boss wants me. I know HR is asking me. I know these people. Oh, cool. My husband's like thinking, oh, look at all the money, right? Whatever the case may be. And you do have supporters. You're always going to have supporters in your corner. But it's about thinking like, is this right now? Is this the right step right now? And then taking accountability. I actually love making decisions. I think that is what makes me effective in corporate America. But you almost need to design your own career matrix. And for some of my clients who are very analytical, I actually have a spreadsheet, a decision matrix, so that they can see, here are the numbers. You should go take that certification, or you should go switch roles or go to a different size company.
Yeah. And I think it just really depends on the person. And some people like to make decisions on the go. Other people like to take more calculated risks. And there's no right way of doing
Yeah.
things. It's whatever works with you and your lifestyle and what makes you the happiest. But the important piece here, and what I want listeners to get away from this conversation is you have to make that decision. Don't let anybody else make that decision for you. And don't push it on somebody else to make that decision for you.
And it's going to work out. And we play the best case, worst case scenario. You take the job. Sometimes some of my clients take a rebound job, like a rebound relationship, and it might not work, but then they're out of the situation they wanted to be out. They learn more, and then they can find a more maybe lasting or more specific role. I don't know what exercise, I'd be curious what exercises you do when someone really gets swirled in their head. But one thing I tell folks is pretend you made the decision for 48 hours. Now, you don't have to tell anyone this, but pretend you took the new promotion. And act as if for 48 hours that happened. How do you feel in your body? Do you like it? Do you wake up in the middle of the night sweating? Then, okay, we're not taking the promotion. And then in the inverse, give yourself a day off. And then for another 48 hours, act as if you maybe, whatever the case may be, take on a new team or and then you can feel in your body, in your responses, if you feel relief or anxiety. That's one way I find to be helpful. I'd be curious what you offer.
So it's similar. However, I call it the future self.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
creating a really strong bond with that future version of yourself. And I say, I want you to create three narratives. One is, who is the future self 6 months from now, a year from now, and then 5 years from now? I want you to describe their life. What are they working on? Their passions? Where are they living? As much detail as possible. I really want you to put in as much of effort into this. And a lot of times they're like, this is weird, whatever. And then we have that pinned. And whenever a tough decision comes up, and I was like, does this decision align with the 6 month version of yourself that you made? Would that person be making this decision? And
I love
that's
that.
kind
I was just hanging out and meditating with my future self this morning. And sometimes that picture can be fuzzy, right? You're like,
of,
well, I think she's like still living in the same house. Like, it's to be so perfect. But I think it's gives yourself permission to have that dream. And I love that you work too in 6 months, year, because sometimes people, I do think if I say, oh, what do you want to, the classic 90s interview question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? COVID wiped that out for me. I was like, I can't think that far out.
yeah.
And it also makes, I think, people feel like they're making forever decisions. You and I could talk for hours. I wish we lived next door. We could chat for hours. But I think You don't have to feel stuck in what you and I are doing today. Like I said, I have a new offering. I'm considering offering it to young adults. We might talk in a year and you have 5 new things you're interested in. So like you don't have to feel like it's a forever decision, like you were saying.
Yeah, nothing's set in stone. And we are allowed to pivot and change our trajectory of where life takes us. There's no set path that we have to be on. It's just whatever choices we want to make and what makes us happy at the time.
I know. I do think it gives people decision fatigue. Our grandparents were like, this is the job we have. This is the town we live in. But I think it's exciting.
It is. It's just all about the perspective and how you look into it. But you did mention something that that is a good transition into my next question, which is sometimes we get overwhelmed with everything that's going on at life, decisions, jobs, careers, personal life, romantic life. What is some tips you can give to our audience to be able to reground ourselves and just relieve some of that stress?
One thing that you mentioned in my bio is Reiki master. And Reiki means energy, life force energy. Einstein, I went to the Franklin Institute. Benjamin Franklin essentially was playing with energy, and a lot of us could literally have lights on. However, from a Japanese perspective, Reiki and energy movement is based on, I call it acupuncture without the needles. I do less one-on-one sessions now, but I do incorporate it more. It's essentially harnessing your energy from within. So the reason I bring this up is if I am really overwhelmed, and you can do this standing, sitting in your car at a stoplight, not while you're driving, in the shower, in a bathtub, in a hot tub, you can do it anywhere before you go to sleep, right when you wake up. Just assess your energy. Do an energetic body scan. You're just collecting data. I was saying before we hit record, there's been flu, COVID, strep throat. I had a surgery. My husband just came back from a trip. He's sick again. We've been disrupted in our schedules, in how we work. And I'm like, well, how do I feel right now? Okay, you know what? My back is feeling really empty and cold. I don't feel grounded right now. Just that's a data point. I do that before I go to bed. I wake up and I think, what's one way to ground myself? Or if I have a major cloud over my forehead or my third eye, my intuitive PowerPoint, what do I need to do to open up my intuition? What do I need to do to open up to hear more from the universe? And so I think a body scan is something, if that's too nebulous for some people, I like to say, when you're washing your face or washing your hair, like really wash yourself. Think about your body. How are you feeling? And then if that too doesn't work and you don't feel anything, quote unquote, think about how you are showing up. So how am I going to show up into this room, into this cocktail hour I don't want to go to? Or how am I going to show up to volunteer, to coach inner city kids when I don't feel like it? So zooming out of yourself and getting a data point.
I like that. It's taking things a little bit slower. I think a lot of us try to go really fast and just zoom through life, but there's so much that you can get on how you're actually feeling about certain things if you just take a step back and slow it down.
And I'm a big music girl, so AirPods, music can help me get into that. Okay, chill out. Take it down. I'm not listening to like fast paced. My favorite's reggae. So I'll put on some reggae, maybe even acoustic type, and just zone out to get those beats in my head. And you're not going to solve the sickness rolling through your house. You're not going to solve that angry email that someone just sent you. Just take a minute and say, and that is the piece of it. Is I talk a lot about the practical pause. It's what's 2 minutes of your time. And you can do that at a stoplight. What do I need absolutely right now? What will serve me now? And hopefully it's something that's somewhat healthy or powerful. Maybe it's calling a friend or saying, hey, I'm feeling down today, or I need to make a big decision. Will you come sit with me? I've thought about my 2 ideas.
Something I learned from a therapist a couple of years ago that really benefited me was try to catch yourself when you're going into that negative loop, or if you're not feeling the best. So you're driving and you're going to a meeting and you're already starting to have that, I wish I could have just stayed home. Maybe I shouldn't go to this meeting. I don't want to be here. It stopped. Okay. You're starting to have the negative loop. What's going on in my body that's making me feel this way? Is it really the meeting, or is it something else going on? Is it the stress? Is it because I have too many emails? What is it? What is the source of the problem? And let me take that away from this new event, because I don't want to taint this
Right.
blank slate of an event that has there's no reason I should be this upset going in there. And let me just go in fresh and create a little barrier and then deal with this when I come back.
Or maybe you're worried about your pet, or you're worried about something else from the day before, or something that's happening in a week. And just to bring that into context, that I'm actually excited about this meeting, or I'm excited, maybe I'll meet 2 new people, or who knows who's in that room. I also have had similar things where last year I had a huge event and I did 2 of the same events. It was an energy workshop, just moving through, finding clarity. The afternoon session was sold out and I had 1 person show up at the night session. That evening session, don't tell the others, was so powerful. But going into and she became a client and a friend and all the things, and we've done work together. But if I had canceled, or if I said, "Oh, it's not worth it, 1 person," I'm not bringing the right energy. And I just was open and she was open, and it was clearly very memorable, because you're like, oh, that was worth it.
Mhm. No, yeah. And it's just, you get what you put into it. So if you're, like you said, if you decided to not give it your all with that person, there were so many opportunities you could have lost. You just never
Right.
know what's going to happen.
You never know. Never know.
Now,
Not easy. What we're talking about is not easy, but it's patterns. They're patterns that you and I have seen people work through, or helped people work through. So I don't want to snap your fingers, click your heels, but it's just a way to think about things differently.
and it takes practice. It takes a lot of practice of you doing it trial and error in order to recognize how your body functions, because it's easier once you know of a concept, because then once you're exposed to something, you can't unlearn it.
Right.
But it's a muscle. You have to be able to flex it. You have to be able to work it out over again so that you can get better and better over time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's worth it.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. So going into my last question, which is the whole premise of the podcast. So what is the one unicorn lesson that you have learned that impacted you the most and shaped you to be the person that you are today?
And I love that. And that's why I reached out. I think this idea of the unicorn idea, the unicorn concept, it's also so playful
Mhm.
and energetic. And I love that. It's very imaginative. But I think that so I was and people can read about this. I've talked about it before, but I was in a period in my early 30s where my mom was very sick. My boss was murdered, and I had 2 small children. Like, I had moved, I had just gotten married. So I was in this huge change dynamic with grief attached, happiness and grief. And all of that in my early 30s, where, to be honest, and my friends tried, but my peer group was maybe getting engaged, or maybe they had their first promotion, or maybe they had moved to get their MBA, but no one was dealing with these layers.
Mhm.
And recently I've had a similar situation where I've had 2 surgeries right back to back in very unusual, rare circumstances. And I'm thinking to myself, no one in my age bracket, none of my peers have had something like this. Although they might have had other things happening, I feel sometimes on an island. And other people might too. They might feel like no one understands my work, or my boss, or my industry, whatever the case may be, feeling like you're on your island. And what I can say in my unicorn lesson is really that there's 2 ways to look at this, is that there's a huge opportunity for learning in that, a resiliency, a mental fortitude that you can have. And then you can take all that knowledge and pass it on. So empathy, the way you work, the way you handle team and leadership can all be out of these sometimes very tough circumstances. And then the second piece is that I believe in living in the and. So it's so easy to go to extremes. And you and I talked a little bit in like black and white today just to make our points. But if I just redid my office, so if I had hung all my things back up, I love ampersands. I should probably get a tattoo, but all these ampersands, there's an and card in my deck. We have to learn to live in the middle. We have to learn to come into, okay, I had a bad situation at the end of last year and I'm going to get better. Or I have a really strange work situation right now. My 4 people just resigned and this and that. You can rattle off the hardships and this is what I'm going to do about it. So finding this middle ground where you move out of extremes, it got to a point, I guess it's 9 years ago. I was like thinking everyone in my life was going to die because I had these 2 severe situations of both a tragic, like actual criminal case again. It's just horrible. I don't want to get into it. I know we're closing out here, but also then my mom being sick. I'm like, this is it. Everyone's a goner. And so to go into to that loop was unhealthy. And so I picked
Mhm.
myself back up. I think because of my kids, I picked myself back up and thought, how can I find a way to make this manageable for my heart? And it was just about living in the day to day, just about living in the moments that felt good. So it was a long-winded way of saying, live in the and take what you learn and be a better person, be a better coach, be a better parent, a better friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, spouse, partner. Just use it to help others in a way maybe that others couldn't help you.
Yeah, and I'm a true believer that nothing really happens accidentally. I think everything happens for a reason, and we have to be able to use these experiences, like you said, to be able to pay it forward. And life's about helping others. I think that's the best way that you're gonna get the most out of life is by giving back. So if you can make somebody else's life a little bit better and less traumatic because of what you learned and what you went through, then why not do that piece?
And this may be slightly controversial to start to close out on this, but the gratitude journals fall short for me. And I think it's because I have lived through some of this.
Mhm.
It seems like in chunks and clumps of hardship, which I'm sure a lot of people also feel, but I like the boomerang effect of what you're talking about. And so instead of thank you for helping me get through this day, energy, God, universe, it's like, how do I want to pay it forward? And that feels like a better reverberation, an energetic reverberation. Like, who can I help? Or I see a mom in my daughter's class struggling. How can I just say, hey, you okay? Like, here, I brought this granola bar for you. And just, if something's small, it doesn't have, you don't have to go to dinner. You don't have to have people over. But I like the exchange of energy once, rather than just like a flat journaling of gratitude. Or if you are feeling like you haven't talked to someone in a while and you're feeling strange about it, reach out. Just, you can
Mhm.
text, you can voice text, there's so many apps now, Marco Polo, Voxer, do your thing. But then I feel like there's an energy exchange that can be really positive. And I think that helps move people out of little stuckness
Mhm.
and big stuckness. So that I like the idea of the energy exchange you and I are talking about.
Yeah, and it's going back to what your concept of the "and." I do this thing where every week, I don't know why I always age myself. I say like my little Rolodex of flashcards, my little contact lists. I go through my contacts and I randomly pick one person I want to call every week. And I'm like, okay, it has to be somebody that I haven't talked to in the last 4 weeks. And I just call randomly and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like, how's life?
So
And
good.
and then they're like, "Why are you calling?" I was like, "I'm literally just checking in. How's everything?" And then they're like, "Everything's fine." Okay. Now how is everything actually now? Tell
Right.
me,
What's really going on?
let's go into it. What's been happening? What are you going through? And let them vent. They usually are going through something because I think we're all going through something. And it's a very cathartic experience just because one, you get to bond and get closer with that person in a deeper level. And then two, they're learning that they can trust you and also they can check in on you as well. And it's
Right.
it's a cycle that you're creating to help other people. And because I do this, I have my friends that now do this too. And they start calling other people. And it's just like this beautiful chain event that now
Oh,
people are
cool.
just checking on each other, and we really need more connectfulness and just doing good. So like that exchange of energy, like you're saying.
Yeah, I do something. I try to do 5 reach outs, whatever that means, a week. So it could be a text, a call. Some of my old colleagues that I used to spend 24 hours with, I'll reach out on LinkedIn, any sort of, hey, just checking in, or maybe a little bit of a deeper note. I was in a little secret book club with one of my colleagues, and I'll say, what are you reading right now? And it gets the energy going. So I think people sometimes think if there's this huge gap in communication, you can't do it, but it's actually a really pleasant surprise. And I hope we keep this going. It's the new, I'll age myself. It's like that new mail. What was that we used to do in the mail? Chain mail, right? You
Yeah.
used to have to write 10 people. It's like that, but it's just social media and text have made that easier. It's the one good thing, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. So as we
It's so
close,
good.
yeah, I agree 1,000%. So as we're closing up, if somebody wants to reach out to you, hire you, or just find out more about your journey, how can they do so?
So I am lynnmull.com is my website. And I'm also starting to write on Substack, The Clarity Collective. And I'm pretty active on Instagram _Lynn Mull. And if anyone would like an Oracle deck, you can use the word 10 written out in bold, and you can get 10% off of the Oracle deck.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lynn. This has been a beautiful conversation. For listeners, don't feel like you have to jot all this down right away. If you scroll down on the show notes, you'll be able to just click the link and go directly to all the links that Lynn mentioned. And if you go to my website at rainbowcareercoaching.com, go to the Unicorn Wall of Fame, you'll see Lynn on there and with her bio and links listed there as well. Final reminder, everybody, episodes come out every Friday at 7 a.m. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this content so it goes out to so many more people. Any last closing words before we close out, Lynn?
No, I just like that I'm a Hall of Famer. I feel like it's a celebratory moment. Thank you. This was so fun. And you are going to be now in my zone, and I'm going to call you in 4 weeks. So I love this
I look forward to it.
exchange.
Likewise. Thank you so much. And until next time, everyone.